Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Terence Crawford is not going to dilute his brand. He's all about legacy. He has no interest in being a spectacle. Now, I'm going to tell you, we're starting to find out what a lot of these fighters are about. And as a result, many fans are swaying in the direction of Terence Crawford. And I think Terence Crawford deserves to be recognized as a favorite or a guy who is an underdog who has a damn good chance of defeating Canelo. Because one thing's for sure, when you think about legacy, psychological standpoint, I think we need to kind of tap in a little deeper than just the matchmaking between Crawford and Canelo. You see, this is something that's really important to me as a boxing fan. We know the direction Canelo was going before he and Crawford got in the talks and the fight was made. Canelo was going the Jake Paul route. You know why he was going the Jake Paul route? Because he was all about money, the spectacle. He wanted to be Hollywood. And he wasn't trying to be a boxing purist and worried about legacy. TURKI ALALSHIKH intervened. Canelo is not fighting Crawford for legacy. He's going after Crawford for the same reason he was going after Jake Paul. It's just money. The difference is Crawford is a no-kidding fighter. He's a boxing purist. Jake Paul is not. And the simple fact that Canelo had already agreed to fight Jake Paul, that tells me all I need to know as far as where Canelo's mind is at. He's forcing something. Man, Canelo don't want to fight Crawford. Crawford going to knock Canelo out. He's going to knock him out. You look at Gervonta Davis. He's fighting Jake Paul. That's why Lamont Roach almost whipped his ass. He did whip his ass. Because Gervonta's just doing things that he didn't really want to do, forcing things. Now he's going after Jake Paul in an exhibition because he just wants money. Gervonta's always wanted money. You look at Anthony Joshua, he got his ass knocked out by Dubois. Got clipped by Andy Ruiz, got clipped by Usyk twice, then came back and they had to rebuild him with Franklin, with Helenius, with Wallen, Ngannou. Jokes of a fight. Put him ass in there with the real deal, Dubois knocked him out cold. So when you look at Canelo Alvarez, barely getting by Berlanga, struggling with Ryder, can't even catch up to school. You know why? Because he don't want to, whatever happened with Munguia, he doesn't want to do it anymore. He just wants easy fights, easy money. Gonna fight Jake Paul, but hey, hold your horses, Canelo. Now you done win and bit off more than you can chew. And you fighting somebody who's really all about his legacy in boxing and he ain't playing around. Crawford gonna knock out Canelo, is what most fans feel now. You take a look at Anthony Joshua. That shit is crazy. Only reason AJ and Jake Paul's not fighting because the networks couldn't come to an agreement. So when it comes to Terence Crawford, he ain't never entertained an exhibition bout. Will he down the road? Maybe. He did say it depends on how much money they're going to give him to bring him out of retirement. Out of retirement. You know what that tells me? That tells me good answer. That's the answer I want to hear from a guy like Terence Crawford. Yeah, I'll fight Jake Paul after I retire, and if I just have nothing else better going on and you're going to give me $200 million. See, we can respect that. But he ain't entertaining no damn exhibition bout. He ain't worried about no crossover fight. Crawford worried about his real estate empire, that beautiful family he has, those young lions and lionesses that he's raising, and the community, developing the community, especially those children. Or come out and negotiate with Jake Paul. like Canelo did, shame on you, Canelo. Gervonta, shame on you. Anthony Joshua, yo, quit taking it to the stupid. All these social media influencers infiltrating boxing. Boxing becoming the WWE. Let me tell you something. For Crawford, in his position, you know there's got to be 150, 200 million out there for him to take a fight with some kind of exhibition, some freak show shit. You know there is. But what's Crawford doing? Making a statement, staying disciplined, not chasing the Wu-Tang cream, dollar bill, y'all, cha-ching ching. Nah, he's all about the ba-bing bings. Crawford ain't playing with these guys. You take a look at his resume. That shit is pure combat. Pure bing bings. Pure what up what. Slapping you around. Undisputed in 2 weight classes. About to go in there, man, and clip Canelo. Canelo want to be a spectacle. He want to be Hollywood. He want to fight Jake Paul. Crawford out here like, nah, man, I want a real fight, sanctioned fight, legacy fight. Nobody else wants that. And Crawford ain't no spring chicken. He's still out here trying to get busy. He deserves all the respect and everybody's support. Everybody should support him. No exhibitions, no gimmicks. You ain't gonna catch him going down to Davis, Joshua, and Canelo route. Hell nah. You ain't gonna catch it. He is all about what I think AJ, Canelo, and Gervonta have been at a certain point in time. They were all about meaningful competition at a point in time, but right now they're not. Crawford still is. He's holding on. Crawford's holding on. But people don't want to support him. That's crazy. You got to understand the psychological framing here when we start thinking about this. Terence Crawford and Canelo, how do they see boxing right now? Canelo sees boxing as a way for him to become a billionaire, possibly keep fighting and become maybe a trillionaire. Who knows how far Canelo can take this shit as long as he can keep winning. But even if not, if he can get into and remain in that spectacle arena, the social misfits, the social media, the social influencers, and Canelo can go out there and cha-ching ching, because he sure as hell ain't gonna have to worry about no ba-bing bings. And that's the direction these guys are going, and that's the reality of what we're dealing with here. Canelo only have to fight Crawford because of the money. Yeah, we could come out here and do a bunch of videos, and I could stir the pot and devil's advocate, but really, Canelo just fighting for the money. Now that you understand. So like Crawford said, like Crawford is the dark angel. Canelo, AJ, and Gervonta, sellouts. They got a place for y'all. Right on that door and that thumbnail, into here. And don't ever come back. We only want Terence Crawford. Only thing worthy of chasing for Terence Crawford is legacy. That's it. When you think about Terence Crawford, exhibition negotiations, never. Legacy focus, 100%. Commercial appeal, moderate. You know, we got to keep it real. As far as Terence Crawford and his commercial appeal, it's better, but it's not where, Gervonta, Joshua's, and Canelo is. Now you think about Canelo, exhibition negotiations, nearly signed. Actually, I think it was I don't know what happened, but that shit I thought it was a done deal. TURKI ALALSHIKH came and broke that shit up, didn't he? He said, hell no. Y'all ain't gonna form Voltron in here. We gonna form Riyadh season. That's exactly what TURKI did. Canelo's legacy focus, moderate. I don't think Canelo's so focused on being super great anymore. He's worried about being a trillionaire. Billionaire than trillionaire. Commercial appeal, it don't get any better than AJ, than Canelo. Don't get any better. Anthony Joshua. Exhibition negotiations. Talks collapsed. He wanted it. You're talking about $200 million or something. But the talks collapsed because of the network. His legacy focus, I don't even know how to rate his legacy focus. I give him a moderate. Commercial appeal, if Canelo's a 10 out of 10, AJ's a 7 out of 10. Canelo's the ultimate. Then you talking about Gervonta Davis. Look, man, I don't even know what to say about Gervonta. He got a family, he has kids, they change you. I understand. It's like me, when I was in the military, they were trying to deploy me, send me TDY and shit. I didn't even want to go to TDYs in Hawaii no more. I didn't want to go to Puerto Rico. The only place I would have gone was Trinidad and Tobago, obviously because I have family there. But other than that, I didn't care about those great temporary duty. That's what TDY is, temporary duty assignments. I didn't care. Kids change you, so I understand Gervonta, but as far as exhibition negotiations, this is what we're talking about. He already signed. It's a done deal. November, man, this year. Making that money, but I mean, hey, he don't care about his legacy. Everybody, I'm sure people are going to jump off the Gervonta bandwagon now. But he doesn't care because he's always been about his money. And even I think money really matters, but it is what it is. So as far as Gervonta Davis and his legacy focus, that shit is questionable. But his commercial appeal is probably the same as AJ here in the States and maybe even overseas. Maybe like a 7 out of 10, but again, Canelo's the ultimate. People wonder, well, why the hell did Canelo back out of the deal to fight Jake Paul and fight Crawford? Easy. Him fighting Jake Paul was going to get him like $100 million. TURKI ALALSHIKH giving the dude $150 million. $150 million. That's why. 3-fight deal for $400 million, something like that. I think it's a 4-fight deal. But there's a lot of, I would say that Canelo probably in the contract has incorporated some up charges. If he beats Crawford, you don't expect Canelo to make $150 for Crawford and $75 million for his next fight. Nah, he's going to make at least $150 or more every fight. And, TURKI ALALSHIKH's going to pay it. To me, Crawford should be viewed as the favorite over Canelo, right? Some people see that as a big question mark. You know what I'm saying? But when you're talking about a legacy purity standpoint, a legacy purity perspective, I think, yes, he should be. Because he's strictly business. He hasn't allowed his focus to deviate. And that matters, and that should be taken into consideration when he's getting in the ring with Canelo. I know Crawford's been out for a year. But for the last year and the last 15, 16, however long he's been a pro, his focus has never been inactive. It's always been active. It's always been focused on legacy. It didn't even go dormant for a few months to go out here and entertain an exhibition. Never. Canelo has. He's had a disconnect from the legacy activity, the legacy focus, the legacy desire. And once you go that, you don't come back. Why would somebody dilute their brand for spectacles? If you're retired, whatever. To me, that, you know what that suggests? That Crawford, who does not want to be part of any spectacle, he's not chasing clout. He's chasing greatness. Terence Crawford is mentally locked in. He's not distracted by side requests. He's not distracted by money. He's not distracted by any of these open-ended promises and nothing. He ain't nothing. He don't want to hear it. When he retires, then I'm sure he'll probably entertain it because he's a businessman. But I just think Crawford deserves a lot more respect. And I'm telling you, man, I'm rooting for Crawford to win the fight. I think it's still a difficult fight, but when I look at it, Crawford, look, there's a stars, I'll put it to you this way, stars are lining up for Crawford to beat Canelo. They're lining up, man. Crawford's willing to risk it all. There was never no, I don't want to, okay, well, if you're going to give me that kind of money, I really don't want to do this, but exhale, okay, for that kind of money, I guess I'll do it, but I really don't want to. You know what happens when you do something you really don't want to? You don't do very well at it. Try becoming a police officer. Hey, you may end up in a situation you got to pull this gun and shoot somebody. That person may be brandishing a weapon. You ready to kill him? I don't really want to shoot anyone, but I need benefits for my wife, for my kids. I need a salary. I need something. Okay, I'll become a cop and I'll go out here and pray to the gods that, I don't confront some criminal who's brandishing a weapon. Day one on the job, boom, run into some lunatic, pulls out his gun. You afraid to fire. Bang, 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 bang. Swiss cheese your ass. You're out of there. And that's what it is with Canelo. He out here trying to be a cop when he really don't want to bust his gun. And Crawford gonna bing, 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 bing his ass. With them Orthodox and Southpaw, Omaha, Nebraska, hollow point bing bings. So if you ask me, man, a stylistic matchup perspective, I think that's just a separate debate. You know what I mean? Canelo's still a generational talent. Gervonta and AJ too, you got to give them their credit, but I just think respecting Crawford more, I just feel it doesn't mean he's going to automatically, win in the ring, but I just think it's going to automatically, when fans look at this and understand Crawford refused to be a spectacle, refused to just chase money, to go out there and get caught up in that cartoonish world of Jake Paul and social media influencers. I just think you got to acknowledge that his path has been more uncompromising. And that requires a lot of discipline, something that Canelo hasn't, he's shown, at least, here recently shown he doesn't have. He's just chasing money, and that shit's going to backfire. Watch Crawford get in there and whip his ass. Watch, I'm telling you. It's going to get ugly in there. Anyway, Crawford's legacy, built brick by brick, still out here doing it, just like he's incrementally increasing his weight, gradually, increasing the level of difficulty with sparring partners, getting that ring, getting it converted into more of a combat zone. I mean, you got guys in there, man, with some serious artillery firing at Crawford, and he's allowing that shit to bounce off him to improve his ability to absorb punches, to absorb punishment. Crawford is no kidding going to exit his training camp, exit fight week, into the ring as a weapon of mass destruction, and Canelo doesn't stand a chance. Because he want to be a spectacle. Hollywood. He going to get tranquilized. I better put some respect on Crawford's name. I know boxing, and TURKI ALALSHIKH and Dana White and the WWE key decision makers, how much got us feeling like, this shit needs to be more entertainment. But Terence Crawford is when I was in the military, we had something called ethos. Terence Crawford, he's a throwback to the warrior ethos. That alone makes him a symbol for what boxing should be. You don't have to like him. You don't have to think he's attractive. You don't have to think he's articulate. You can sit here and think that he's never fought anyone. He fought who he had to. He fought who he could. He fought who they put in front of him. One thing for sure, he never entered into no bullshit negotiations to go fight some goddamn cuckohole named Jake Paul or any of these other social media influencers because they were going to give him that Wu-Tang cream, cha-ching ching. Nah. He could have went in there and just totally just annihilated one of them cats. He didn't. He said, nah, I'm about legacy. Let me finish up my career, see how the cards fall. And once I'm in retirement, they got to give me something I can't refuse, an offer I can't turn down. But for now, I'm going to go in here and put the bing bings, Omaha, Nebraska bing bings, on Guadalajara's finest, Canelo. And I'll sit back and just watch the AJs throw their legacy away that Gervonta's throw the legacy away. And I'll see if, after I kick Canelo's ass, if he's going to go ahead and throw his legacy away. Because I sure as hell don't see Canelo fighting no goddamn... I'm seeing his face. He just knocked out Edgar Berlanga, Hamza Shiraz. Why would he get in there with Hamza Shiraz? He'd probably fight Chris Eubank Jr., though. Hamza Shiraz... Canelo better leave that dude alone, man. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Crawford for the victory. Always remain locked in. Always about his boxing. That's his lifestyle. Been his lifestyle since he's been a kid. He's never been out the gym. A family with your vacation. A vacation with your family. That's not out the gym. Adrian Broner is out the gym. What Earl Spence used to do in between fights is out the gym. Terence Crawford has always been in the gym. That's his safe haven. That's where he gets his peace. And I think we need to really understand that shit. Thinking about him and the 400 days inactivity. Okay, as far as an officially sanctioned fight, but that doesn't mean he's been inactive. Because even when he disappears from the ring for that year to focus on family and whatever, when he gets in the ring, what did he tell Earl Spence, the bozo in the audience? He said, I gets active. He about to get in Canelo's ass on 13 September. Y'all keep cool. Y'all can watch all that buffoonery with Jake Paul and the AJs and the Gervontas and the Canelos. I'm going to be watching Terence Crawford because he's a boxing purist and he's a man's man. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.